there was a will, it would not have been in a public domain where I would find it. So we were not able to find any other living relatives, and so it is entirely possible that Charlie Castle may have been a rather wealthy man and didn't know it. It's possible.
Right, and they were just going to siphon off all that money because they knew it.
It's possible, but it's a question. We have a question about that. Now,
but we know this happens with these conservatorships. That's the problem, isn't that true? I mean, that's the the big problem.
They're a license to steal.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what it is, because when a person goes under a conservatorship, they not only lose most of their rights, they lose all access to their assets and property. It all goes into the care and protection, of the conservator/guardian. So it is certainly a process which would attract people who are unscrupulous, because there's just it's just like, here's the money, dive in.
Horrible.
So Melody Scott resigned shortly after we publicized the fact. Okay, Charlie went ahead and back in August filed a writ of habeas corpus, and he did this with the assistance of some of people in the activist community, because obviously he couldn't go into court and file anything.
Right.
He, certainly went over the paperwork, reviewed it, signed it, and it was filed for him. And immediately, the conservator at that time was Melody Scott. She started moving him around from facility to facility. I think in the space of 2 weeks, he was in 4 different facilities.
And that's not good for that's just horrible. They just keep shuffling him around.
Yes, well, she was trying to admit him anonymously, and we were
oh my God,
we were able to find out where he was, time after time. But then,
so they're just hiding. They're trying to she's like shuffling, it's like it's like a shell game.
Exactly.
A shell game with care facilities.
With a human being, as the prized object. So
unbelievable.
She took him then and put him in Braswell's Desert Manor, and at that point she instructed the facility that he was not to make or receive any phone calls or have any visitors. So, when she was not successful in hiding him, she basically cut him off from the outside world, and this is directly after he filed that writ of habeas corpus.
Unbelievable.
So now it does happen, and it took quite a while to even get this information, months and months, but his writ was denied, and because he was moved so many times, papers from the court weren't even able to find him, letting him know his writ was denied. He therefore very likely potentially lost his right to appeal it. So when he was put into Braswell's Desert Manor and lost the right to be in contact with the outside world, there were numerous attempts made by those of us trying to help Charlie out here to contact various different agencies about this, and the Department of Public Health went out and cited the facility for breaking the law in violating these rights of his, and had also referred this to the Department of Justice for prosecution. And I want to mention this specifically because this action by the Department of Public Health was almost the sole action of any agency to do anything in accordance with their mandate in terms of Charlie Castle. We had police departments. We have had police departments falsifying reports. We have had, most recently, because a report had gone into the Yucca Valley Police Department when Charlie was in Desert Manor, which was in Yucca Valley, the detective, his name was John Allen, told me in a phone conversation that there's nothing wrong. There's been no violation of rights anywhere. In fact, the state agencies went out and determined no violations. I said, not the California Department of Public Health. They determined there was a violation. He goes, well, not according to our report. I said, well, listen, I said, you go ahead and call Jill Bobbitt over there at the Department of Public Health. Would you like her number? He goes, no. I said, you aren't going to call her? He said, no. So he had all it erroneous information in his report, and he refused to check with another state agency to clarify whether his report was false or not. He said, no, I'm closing the complaint.
Oh.
I don't care. Yeah. So there you got. You got another police department falsifying
records,
giving information. Don't take my word for it. Call Jill Bobbitt, and he says no. So this problem. I mean, you would think that this guy was Howard Hughes. You would think
maybe that's something like that.
The golden. I mean, the amount of fraudulent activity around this guy was absolutely overwhelming. So when John Allen, the detective over at Yucca Valley PD, pulled this, don't show me the facts, I'm not interested. I contacted his the guy, his supervisor named Radliff, and there began some very bizarre communications. I would call Radliff. I would send him letters. I tried to keep things in writing. Wouldn't get back to me. And the last communication I got from him, he said, "Oh yes, well, we did contact the Department of Public Health, and I want you to know we're investigating why Charlie Castle was under a conservatorship." Now, the report that went into their agency didn't say we don't know why he's under a conservatorship. The report that went in talked about all of this fraud going on with all of these different agencies, and immediately I fired off Radliff a letter. Why are you investigating why he's under? Well, I'll tell you why he's under a conservatorship, because the judge put one on him.
Right.
But, at the end of that, we're concerned about all of this fraudulent activity. A lawyer representing both sides of the case, at the same time, him never getting in front of a court of law. We had a prior falsified report that came from Adult Protective Services. Why is all this fraud going on? Because it's all illegal. All of this stuff, going on with people falsifying reports and so forth. This is what needs to be investigated. But then, didn't hear back from Radliff one bit. So, Charlie Castle, for a rather protracted, very negative experience, trying to regain his freedom. He did pass away last Tuesday, January 15th, and without being sick. So, he wasn't suffering from any illness. So the assumption that I am making, and it is only an assumption because the Guardian won't tell me the cause of death, refuses to tell me.
Unbelievable.
Her name is Roberta Wartenberg, and she is with the Public Guardian's Office, and I spoke with her today, and she patently refused to tell me the cause of death. My assumption would be that somebody who dies, in this manner might die of a heart attack or a stroke, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, that's
sudden death, yeah.
Sudden death, yeah. It could very well be a heart attack
or stroke, yeah.
And the reason I want to bring this up specifically is that a number of my reports on the issues surrounding biological weapons and so forth have discussed and disclosed the existence of what we're calling imposter pharmaceuticals.
Right.
Imposter pharmaceuticals are drugs, pills, that look like, normal, whatever you take. What do you take? You take antibiotics, you take hormones.
Whatever the pill would normally look like.
Allergy pills, whatever you think you might be taking. But they actually are a secret, a covert,
mechanized weapon, like a chemical weapon.
And they will cause heart attacks or strokes and death. And, this is another way. Our government doesn't like to admit that it's really killing its own people.
Oh, yeah.
And when it does kill its own people, it likes to do it in ways that reek of plausible deniability. And giving someone a poison pill and then having them topple over dead in a facility where nobody is really around to go, hey, what just happened to Charlie? Just took a pill and died. Okay. That is certainly qualifies for plausible deniability.
Yeah.
And I'm concerned about this. I'm concerned enough about this that after speaking with some of my friends and advisors today, I was urged to go ahead and contact homicide and make at least lodge a report. And it's been about 3 hours since I've contacted the department trying to make a homicide report. Do you think that might have priority, a homicide complaint? I mean,
you would think it would. You've been waiting, yeah.
You think they might get back to you if you call and you say think you have some suspicions that somebody didn't die of natural causes? You think they might want? You think that might be a little higher priority than hanging around the donut shop? I don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't seem. It's funny. 3 hours is a long time, for something that could be a priority. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You wonder. You wonder.
Well, I called the coroner's office, and I was able to, verify the date of death through the coroner's office because I couldn't even get that from the public guardian.
Huh.
I guess all this.
Well, isn't it like sort of like public record type of death, or like type of death? Isn't that like a public record? I mean, you can find out the cause of death, right?
Eventually.
Yeah.
I did find somebody in the coroner's office who was a little less tongue-tied, we'll say.
Mm-hmm.
And this person did give me the name. Apparently there's someone on Graveyard that I need to contact about this who got the initial call, and also told me that the certificate has not been issued yet. It's been 3 days and there's still no death certificate, which is also a little unusual. But I want to say something about some of these public record death certificates, because I have pulled up, and I have in my own possession, death certificates from conservatories in San Bernardino County where they are blacking out the name of the person signing the death certificate.
Really?
Now, yes, I have those in my possession. Now, what's going on here? Well, why does that become redactable information? Who is so scared about, his confirmation of how such and such a conservative died that they're going to black out? Somebody somewhere is going to black out the name of the doctor signing the death certificate. There's something very strange going on. This particular case this particular death certificate was a conservative who had died also under suspicious circumstances. Well, one of the things that becomes clear about the Charlie Castle case is that this is a matter of people as property, and it's a rather disturbing blip on the political scene to realize that our country has developed more and more mechanisms to basically claim ownership of people. I mean, one of course is the prison system, right? Another way of ownership is through the grabbing of taking of children, and now we have this specter of adult guardianships where they basically decide that they own you, and that will decide who you can see, where you're going to be, whether or not you can even get your response to your writ of habeas corpus, and so forth. And there's another case that has come to my attention that is in Northern California, which is the Barbarito case. Pam Barbarito is not under a conservatorship, but she is, as the beneficiary of a special needs trust, she is in probate court over her trust, and very recently a Judge Tim Volkman approved a bench warrant poor Pam Barbarito when she defied what can only be considered a corrupt and malicious